Hey guys, how you going? Okay, now I'm sure a lot of you have seen this one. We're going to get straight into it. This is parody Baron Trump, who said Dad showing South Africa president clips of South African members of parliament inciting violence against whites in South Africa because the president didn't seem to think there was anything going on. So let's have a listen.
Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. So whatever you want to do, can we drop my membership from this useless parliament? Yes, honorable member. Must never be scared to kill. A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill. Gaza. Kill the poor, the farmer. Kill the poor, the farmer.
Okay, I don't know how well you can hear this, because it's very low for some reason, but they're shouting "Kill the Boer." I uploaded the video the other day of them actually shouting this, so because the president didn't seem to think this was going on at all. I'll see if it gets any better when I go up here. The volume is very low.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here.
Now he's showing him all the crosses along the roads.
Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross, and there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who's killed. And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it.
Guys, I am so sorry. That volume was terrible. Okay, now we've got Phidias. I can't say your last name. I'm sorry. Big fight in the European Parliament between two members of the European Parliament. Let's have a listen. I better check the volume this time. This one's going to be loud. You watch. Okay.
You censorship. You shut up.
Shut up. You are talking bullshit.
I think
you are talking bullshit, Mr. Nazi lover.
I was in the European Parliament today and I saw a big fight between two other members of the European Parliament. Play the clip.
Медиите в Европейския съюз, както обществените, така и частните, са в отвратително състояние. Министърът на пропагандата на Третия райх, Йозеф Гьобелс, би се гордял с такива медии.
I cannot accept that someone... I see a lot of problems in Europe, a lot of problems with the media, but to compare it with Nazi, with Goebbels, I do not accept. And I really think...
Maybe you would like to impose censorship, mister.
You shut
censorship.
Up. You shut up.
Shut up. You are talking bullshit.
I think,
you are talking bullshit, Mr. Nazi lover.
To compare
Mr. Nazi lover,
with
you
Nazi,
are.
And that's not...
Yes, because you are talking bullshit.
Shut up.
You are an executioner of freedom of speech with your talk.
I don't know about Bulgaria, but according...
You don't know about anything.
But according to Austrian law, if you say that in Austria you are in big trouble and you are in front of a court, because you cannot compare what we are having here as a European democracy with the worst history of Europe, which is the Nazi time and which is Goebbels. And I will not accept it.
Who do you think was right? Let me know in the comments below.
I don't know who was right, but Don't interrupt the enemy while they're destroying themselves. That's all I know. Okay. The EU reveals a second defence agreement demanding the UK pays into EU budgets, hands contracts to EU firms, accepts EU rules, foreign policy and supervision. Don't like it? Sign here and say no to surrender. Okay, because there's a petition here. Okay.
Your second question was on SAFE for the UK. Indeed, it's a two-step approach towards SAFE. The first precondition is a security and defence partnership. That has been concluded today. And it opens the door for the UK to participate in the joint procurement under SAFE. Then there comes the second step that is necessary to negotiate a second agreement. And here we detail out, it's again a process of detailing out, budget contribution, reciprocal market access, and rules on security of supply. And this will give, that's important, in the end, the UK industrial participation. This is the goal that we have together.
Well, on Gibraltar, the Commission and the...
Your second question.
Sounds like she wants money for nothing. The EU does, anyway. I should put this in the actual description. I might put it, I'll try and remember to put the link in the video. Mark Nixon said the red is free labour. That's how much of your year you work just to pay taxes. None of that income goes home with you. Now think about this. Parliament's been closed all year. They'll work 3 weeks in June, then summer holidays. This is in Canada. They got paid, you got played. This is how many years, how many days you've got to work for free before you start getting paid. The red is free labour, okay? So that's how much you're working for nothing, okay? And then the other half of the year, you're, or just over half, you're getting paid. Okay, John Gaddy said, let's face it, the Canadian Parliament's become a farce where unqualified doofus MPs collect their bloated cheques for doing absolutely nothing. What's worse, Canadian taxpayers say nothing, expect nothing and demand nothing from them. Canada's in desperate need of serious reform. You're not the only ones. Chris Erickson said all 343 members of Parliament in Canada have sold out. They're working against the best interests of Canadians and have been for decades. Okay, Darren Grimes, new. Parliament snubs the Supreme Court again. Despite a clear legal ruling, this is in the UK, that sex means biological sex, the House of Commons is refusing to ban men from using women's toilets. They say they're awaiting guidance. That's not leadership, it's cowardice. The Supreme Court ruled trans women are not legally women. The EHRC confirmed that female lavatories are for females, full stop. But in our own Parliament, women's safety is still up for debate. Britain deserves better than spineless institutions that can't even follow their own laws. And I agree. They should be banned, okay? The House of Parliament is like Canada and Australia's government. They're out of control. Lady Rebecca said lots of people are talking about Section 38 of the European Union Withdrawal Agreement, Act 2020. It is recognised that the Parliament of the United Kingdom is sovereign. So could Keir Starmer's EU deal be deemed as illegal? Anyone have any thoughts on this? It could be. Then Freedom Fighter back to Canada has entered the taxation without representation phase. There is no parliament, there's no oversight, there's no government. There is, however, a dictatorial communist regime making policy and spending to excess, and most Canadians just don't care. We all care. It's just a matter of what we can do about it. We need to find solutions. And I say, don't listen to them. I don't know. I'm not listening to our government, okay? I don't care what they say. They can lock me up. I don't care. Jane Pounder said the Hungarian parliament has now voted to withdraw from the International Criminal Court because they said it's become a political body driven by political motives in the light of issuing arrest warrants for BB. Thank you, Hungary. There you go. I don't know. You can let me know what you think. Update news, breaking. Member of the European Parliament, Sylvia Sardone, has called for an end to taking young children on trips to Islamic mosques. Well, she'd be the first, wouldn't she? A little late, but at least she maybe is doing something that's half decent. Yeah, I don't know, because, I mean, our government has said they're not going to censor people anymore. I think they're lying. And the UK government, Keir Starmer, has said that they're going to stop immigrants, and I think they're lying as well. I think they're all lying. Okay, Benny Johnson said Mike Benz reveals where the Epstein files actually are, not with the FBI. He points to the CIA. Epstein belonged to intelligence. The FBI is not in possession. Those are held at the CIA layer. He belonged to intelligence, both domestic or international. I think both. And this is Mike Benz talking to Benny Johnson. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It is 13 minutes long, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be copyrighted or copywritten, whatever you want to call it. Kyle Becker said, reminder, Maureen Comey, the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, was a prosecutor on the Epstein case and is now a prosecutor in the Diddy case. There has been no justice for victims and almost no arrests made in either of these high-profile cases. I wonder why. Like father, like daughter? I'm not sure. But James Comey just threatened President Trump. Huh, interesting, isn't it? And she's the one who is the prosecutor. She's not a defense attorney. She's the prosecutor. She's the one who's supposed to be prosecuting Epstein and Diddy. Or was, anyway, with Epstein. Epstein didn't kill himself. No matter what they say, I don't care. Grace Chong, MBI, said, Giuliani, you walked out of that grand jury room and head straight into the same prison where Epstein took himself out. You're in the Southern District, haha. Bannon said, yeah, I'm not buying that about Epstein. Giuliani said, I'm not either. I can always prove it to you. I know that jail backwards and forwards, I helped build it. So there you go. Rudy Giuliani is not believing it either because Dan Bongino and Kash Patel have said that Epstein killed himself now. I want to know what's going on. Sal the Agorist said MAGA's a hell of a drug. Dan Bongino and Epstein before and after he became FBI director. Let's have a listen.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein story is a big deal. Please do not let that story go. Keep your eye on this. Catherine Rumler, we need to keep the heat on this case, folks. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all intersected paths with Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein isn't with us anymore, and nobody seems to want to talk about it. Outside of a few entrepreneurial media outlets saying, hey, this is a big deal.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Listen, that Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, I don't believe them, sorry. Chris Martinson said, my PhD is in pathology toxicology. I perform autopsies. I know enough about anatomy to know that a slump hanging is not going to fracture the hyoid bone into 3 pieces. Epstein did not kill himself. He was strangled by a strong man. This indicates we have a huge problem. Breaking 911 reporter, you said Jeffrey Epstein took himself out. People don't believe it. Patel said they have a right to their opinion, but, taking yourself out when you see one and what that was. Bongino said he killed himself. I've seen the whole file. He did. Okay, this is, I believe, a bit of a thread. The anomalies surrounding Epstein hanging himself are just part of the story. Too many things don't add up. Epstein was found hanging in his cell despite being on watch for taking yourself out just weeks earlier and supposed to be under close observation. Epstein's cellmate was transferred out the morning of his death, leaving Epstein alone, and prison staff failed to check on him every 30 minutes as required and lied about it. Malfunctioning or missing security camera footage around Epstein's cell at the time of death. Both guards had fallen asleep at the time. The fracture of Epstein's hyoid bone, which some experts say is more consistent with strangulation than hanging, exactly as the OP states. The noose used to hang Epstein reportedly had no blood stains despite visible neck lacerations. Epstein had access to other means of self-harm, example CPAP machine cord, but allegedly used a less efficient method. Number 8. The death scene was disturbed immediately by prison staff and the cell was likely cleaned and reused, destroying potential evidence. So make your own mind up, but these are the facts. Yep, nicely summarised, mate. Well done. Okay, Nick Sautor said, holy crap, Elon Musk just absolutely obliterated Bill Gates. Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he was very close with Epstein? I wouldn't want that guy to babysit my kids. Let's have a little listen.
I do want to ask you about US aid and the comments that Bill Gates made the other day, which and I know that you called him...
Yeah, he's a huge liar.
I know, you've said that already. I wondered...
Also,
and I'm just...
Who does Bill Gates think he is to make comments about the welfare of children, given that he frequented Jeffrey Epstein?
Okay, well... He said he regrets those, and he spent a lot of his own money on philanthropy around the world over the years. My question to you is: have you looked at the data to check if he might be right that the cuts to USAID might cost millions of lives?
Yes. I'd like him to show us any evidence whatsoever that is.
I do.
Yeah, does Bill Gates have children? Does Bill and Melinda Gates have children at all? Yeah, because if they do, I'm thinking they're not theirs. The Vigilant Fox said, this is all theory, mind you, okay? Everyone mentioned here is innocent or proven guilty in a court of law, and everything's theory until it's proven fact, even if it is fact. Vigilant Fox said Senator John Kennedy just obliterated the Democrats' narrative on HHS budget cuts with nothing but a few simple questions. RFK Jr. was under heavy fire. Then Senator Kennedy stepped in and hit a grand slam. This exchange flipped the whole hearing on its head. You have to see it. And this is a thread. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. went head-to-head with Senate Democrats today over major proposed budget cuts, including $18 billion slashed from the NIH and $3.6 billion from the CDC. But for many Democrats, you'd think it was the end of the world. Senator Tammy Baldwin, led the charge, slamming Kennedy for a $3 billion drop in federally funded biomedical research compared to last year. Kennedy stood his ground. We're cutting waste. We're cutting duplicative programs, he said. Still, Baldwin wouldn't let up. She framed the loss of 3,200 fewer grants as an attack on life-saving programs. Kennedy hit back with a devastating stat. We spent 70% of the world's biomedical research out of NIH, 70%, and we're the sickest country in the world, he said. We've had a 38% increase in our agency growth over the past 4 years. He added that money has not been well spent. The exchange summed up a broader dynamic, Democrats trying to paint RFK Jr. as a villain, slashing life-saving science, while Kennedy pointed out that America's health is declining because of how this money is being spent, not despite it. Then came Senator John Kennedy, and he dismantled the entire narrative with a few simple questions. Before I break it down, you should really watch the full exchange for yourself. That's nothing short of glorious. It's 5 minutes long. I won't do that. I don't have much time. That's why I'm making a video today, guys. The first line of questioning pointed out that HHS staff went from 82,000 to 62,000, the same level it was at before COVID in 2019. Senator Kennedy sarcastically asked, is this the first time that an institution in America has ever downsized? I don't think so, RFK Jr. replied. Senator Kennedy kept ramming this point home. Microsoft just announced they were going to reduce their workforce by 6,000 people. You think that'll be the end of Microsoft? I don't think so, RFK Jr. answered. Senator Kennedy kept going. Meta, I still call them Facebook, just announced they're going to reduce their workforce by 3,000 people. Do you think that'll be the end of Meta? I imagine it will not, RFK Jr. said. Yeah, think maybe the people at Meta know what they're doing? Senator Kennedy asked. I think they do, RFK Jr. responded. They make a lot of money. Do you hate NIH? Senator Kennedy asked. I love NIH, RFK Jr. said earnestly. I grew up with NIH. I visited when I was a boy. I love science, and those are my favourite afternoons visiting the labs. Then the gloves came off. Senator Kennedy argued the best way to increase medical research funding was to stop the stealing. He explained how universities misuse taxpayer dollars. Let's suppose NIH gives a university $100 million for medical research. That university takes $30 million of it, doesn't spend it on the research, and uses it to subsidise the rest of their university. Does that show a commitment to medical research? He asked facetiously. Kennedy pointed to a real-life case, citing Stanford as an example. He said they were taking 78% in indirect costs, and no one really knew where that money was going. That's theft, isn't it? He asked. In Louisiana, we call that stealing. Senator Kennedy asked RFK Jr. point blank, is there any doubt in your mind that a lot of universities are taking this NIH money, which is supposed to be spent on medical research, and using it to fund other parts of their university? Is there any doubt in your mind, Bobby? RFK Jr. explained that while private grant makers like the Gates Foundation or Rockefeller Foundation pay just 10 to 15% in indirect costs, overhead expenses that universities charge on top of research grants, the NIH has been paying 50, 60, even 70%. This means taxpayer-funded grant money meant for medical research is being misused and spent far more loosely than it would be under private grant makers. With this last question, Senator Kennedy asked RFK Jr., why do we allow highly processed foods in America? That's a complicated question, RFK Jr. replied, but it's driven by profits to a food industry that's making money by poisoning American kids. He added, and they don't do it abroad. They make the same products for Canada and for Europe that don't contain many of those chemicals. Before wrapping up, Senator Kennedy took one last shot at the partisan drama. You understand, Mr. Secretary, there's nothing you can do that's going to make many of my Democrat colleagues happy. You get that, don't you? I do understand, RFK Jr. replied. I'm coming to understand that, Senator, yes. And just like that, Senator John Kennedy not only put a smile on Kennedy's face, but also torched the budget cuts kill people narrative and exposed how bloated spending has failed the very people it's meant to help. From that moment on, the Democratic outrage fell apart. The narrative had already been flipped and everyone in the room knew it. Thanks for reading. There you go. The Vigilant Fox on Twitter, on X, sorry. Topher Fields said, not yet confirmed. If this is real, we have a massive battle incoming. Fernwood, the women-only gym, are going to cop a massive, well-funded... I've already read that one, haven't I? Okay, well, let's have a quick look over at the Gateway Pundit to see what's going on, because I'm sure there's a lot I've missed. Breaking huge. Supreme Court allows Trump to fire Labor board members in 6-3 decision. Ooh. Breaking, 2 female Secret Service agents get into a physical fight outside Obama's D.C. residence. Get a supervisor immediately before I whoop this girl's... Ooh. Whoops. Barack Obama attacks President Trump's one big beautiful bill. Of course he's going to do that. Hungary stands up to globalism. Orban passes Stop Soros law against progressive NGOs. Hungary's doing pretty well, actually. Anti-Semitic assassination in Washington, D.C. New details emerge. Trump administration moves to kick out thousands of international students at Harvard and prevent further enrolment of foreign students at school. Dr. McCullough reveals a cancer-fighting drug Big Pharma doesn't want you to know about. And what would that be? Revenue. A recent study in the journal Cancer takes a closer look at the impact of cancer drug prices on pharma revenues. Okay, they found that sales from cancer drugs are becoming an increasingly important part of the pharmaceutical company's revenue, while the annual revenue generated by cancer drugs increased by 70% from 2010 to 2019. The revenue from non-cancer drugs decreased by 18%. Because if they weren't our customers, they would lose money. Even worse, there's a little correlation between the amount of money charged for these drugs and treatments and health outcomes. Okay, Okay, it's the same stuff I've been talking about for ages, okay, the thing that they didn't like. Sean Diddy Combs trial, rapper Kid Cudi testifies that disgraced mogul broke into his house and set fire to his car. Obama's been mentioned too, with ecstasy pills with Obama's face on them, and that the drug dealer, allegedly, the drug dealer also deals with Obama for some reason. Yeah, I'm sure we know why. Away all boats, send them to the Coast Guard. Safe and effective lie collapses, allegedly. Judge blocks Trump from revoking legal status of international students nationwide. He's going to do it now, so this must have updated since then. Because didn't he say he's going to send them? Yep. Trump administration moves to kick him out. Carol Levitt uses a surprising news source to bury NBC reporter after media hack accuses Trump of lying about the genocide. Well, he wasn't lying. Israeli embassy staffers killed in DC shooting by pro-Palestinian activist. Identified. FBI's Dan Bongino provides update on the investigation. I don't know, I'm starting to not trust Dan Bongino and Kash Patel now. But we'll wait and see what happens. I'm always one to wait and see. President Trump goes off on Biden judge who ordered 8 dangerous illegals en route to South Sudan remain in the US custody. Newark Mayor Ras Baraka caught on hot mic mocking Trump DOJ officials after an unhinged judge rips Selena Harbour for arrest. And far-left Rep Jasmine Crockett gets humiliated by Harmeet Dillon after throwing fit over Trump DOJ, moving to drop police reform agreements with 2 Democrat-run cities. Yeah, she's a plant. Supreme Court upholds block on nation's first religious charter school in 4-4 vote. Amy Coney Barrett recuses. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I should be live tomorrow. Should be. I will be live tomorrow. It's Saturday. Okay, so I will see you then, guys. Hoping you can join me for that. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one, guys. Bye.